me in the comments about the burning and tenderness on the scalp that's reported with TE, and I absolutely had that. And I found it very frustrating when I read online that, TE sufferers had reported it, but it's only anecdotal, as if our reporting of a symptom is unreliable. All pain is not quantifiable. I mean, people who get shot say it hurts and I believe them, but you can't quantify the pain. So I did have the burning and tenderness. It was after my second hair fall. So I don't know if it's related, but it's because it was right here in the front where I lost a lot of hair and I had a lot of exposed scalp. So I don't know if it's related to having the exposed scalp, or not, but I had the burning and tenderness, which made me think it was one of the extremely rare things that, like the diseases that you find when you start Googling TE, that you have them. I mean, there's the standard stuff of PCOS and Hashimoto's and lupus, and the more you look these things up, the more they start coming up in your social media stuff. And I literally had blood tests to rule out every single symptom of every single one of them, because I kept thinking there has to be, a definitive diagnosis. There's got to be some way to say why my hair fell out, because the TE sounds crazy. You suffer an emotional trauma, and 1 to 3 months later, your hair falls out for 6 to 9 months. It sounds really weird. And that's exactly what I had. Another thing that I read online is that TE commonly uncovers female pattern baldness. Now, I don't believe that that's true at all. I do not think there's an epidemic of female pattern baldness in our country. I think it's probably pretty rare. Someone asked me how I knew that I didn't have androgenic alopecia. Well, the way that I know that is that it's genetic, and I don't have a bald man or woman in my family on either side going back 3 generations. So if you have a bald mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, cousin, then baldness is in your family. And I mean, I still always recommend the scalp biopsy because it can definitively tell you if you have pattern baldness. There's something called miniaturization, and if you get the scalp biopsy, they can confirm or deny that. My doctor was, an incompetent pig, but had he run the test, it wouldn't have mattered. The test would have confirmed that I did not have androgenic alopecia. But one thing about TE is that it does mimic female pattern baldness, in the sense that when my hair fell out for the second time, it fell out here in the front. It looked like female pattern baldness. So didn't uncover it, it just mimicked it, meaning your hair was missing and it looks like it. So even though I had seen him 6 months before, because I had, first of all, I had folliculitis. So I had like over 100 like kind of pimples on my head. And I went to go see him about that. Also, I had had my first hair fall, and my first TE experience, I knew that my hair was thinner, and I noticed it, but I didn't have any bald spot thin areas. So like I could see in photos that my hair was thinner, but I didn't have any way to see it on the scalp. So I chalked it up to, hair dye, breakage, layers. I didn't know that the first time, but I went to go see him for the folliculitis, which were like the pimples on my scalp, 6 months before the second hair fall. And because my hair had thinned out for the previous 6 months, I asked him while he was examining every single microscopic inch of my head. I said, "Do you see any indications of baldness? Because my hair is really thin." And he said, "There's nothing. You have absolutely zero baldness." So when I went back, and maybe I should mention that it's Kaiser, and Kaiser sucks and has no personal doctor care, so he doesn't like recognize me when I come in. I'm just a person, even though I have seen him before. He's not like in the old days when your doctor, you actually knew him. Kaiser kind of, especially this particular jerk, prided himself on us being nameless, faceless, like on a conveyor belt patients. So when he tried to bully me into not getting the scalp biopsy, and he spent 45 minutes doing that, I don't know why he didn't just do the scalp biopsy. He saw the way it looked, and he was making his diagnosis. And I said, but I just saw you 6 months ago for my folliculitis, and you told me that I had not even one area or hair that was missing, that it would indicate baldness because my hair had thinned out. And he said, no offense, but I don't remember that or you. Okay, so again, he also treated me very differently. When I saw him before my hair fell out, and I was like, you know, a pretty patient, and I don't mean that in the sense that he was interested in me or he flirted with me. There's a pretty privilege in the world, and it's the same as white privilege, and I have benefited from both. But when you are pretty, people treat you differently. It's been proven sociologically that positive qualities are attributed to attractive people. They think you're nicer, more deserving. So it's not right, and that's not what I'm saying, not saying that it's right, but he specifically treated me differently when I was pretty with hair than when I went in and I was bald. Suddenly I didn't exist as a human being, and he was a jerk. I mean, he's not a good doctor, apparently. You know, why? I'm sorry, does he get a bonus if he doesn't order a scalp biopsy? It kind of doesn't make sense. But I'm not saying doctors are just people and they make mistakes, but believe test results. So I am not saying that not to trust the medicine. For sure, trust the medicine, but doctors are people. Doctors can make mistakes, and doctors can make snap judgments. That's why patients need to advocate for themselves. And that's well known, especially women are dismissed, women of color are dismissed more than anybody else. They die in childbirth because people don't believe their symptoms. So doctors are not perfect, and it is not saying that I dance naked in the moonlight to say that, you know, you should not take a doctor's word as gospel. Again, not discounting medical tests. I think you should believe medical tests. I just think that doctors are people and they make mistakes. With the Telogen, Effluvium, I don't believe that there is this epidemic of female pattern baldness, like I said, so I would definitely, ask for all of the tests.